warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera. Tuan-tuan dan puan-puan yang dihormati sekalian, hari ini seperti biasa saya selaku host untuk program Sembang-Sembang Persatuan Siswaza Wanita Malaysia dengan tema Menyusuri Ilmu. Tetamu saya pada hari ini adalah juga kawan baik saya. Beliau ialah none other than Datuk Frida binti Datuk Muhammad Filus. Kawan saya daripada universiti dulu. Okey, izinkan saya memberikan sedikit latar belakang beliau. Memang dia punya biodata tu panjang, tapi mengenangkan program kita ni limited dengan terhad dengan masa, saya petik-petik saja beberapa perkara yang sangat menarik perhatian. Okey. Datuk Frida ini ialah seorang, dalam bahasa Inggerisnya, established and renowned educator. Dialah orang yang pioneer private school education, dan dia juga telah terlibat dalam industri ini. Dan dia telah menubuhkan Cempaka Education Group, ya. Dan dalam program ini, Cempaka Education ni, dia mengandungi kampus-kampus virtual dan juga fizikal. Dan pelajar-pelajarnya terdiri daripada kanak-kanak berumur 18 bulan ke atas. Dan dia punya, saya perlu menjelaskan dalam bahasa Inggeris, okay? His education verticals extend from early childhood development, K-12 education, Malaysian, British and international baccalaureate curricula, to teacher training and education consultancy. Beliau mendapat early education ya di Convent of Holy Infant Jesus, Bukit Nanas, the famous CBN, pada tahun 61 hingga 67. Kemudian dia telah pergi ke satu lagi college yang sangat terkenal yang melahirkan ramai ilmuwan, Tengku Kursyah College. Dan lepas itu dia masuk ke Universiti Melaya pada tahun 67 hingga tahun 70. Masa itulah saya bersama-sama dengan Datuk, ya. Kami masa itu adalah mahasiswa. Alright. Kemudian Datuk melanjutkan pelajaran dalam bidang MBA-nya di UKM pada tahun-tahun 1980 hingga 82. Dia punya banyaklah award, macam-macam award. Saya petik beberapa saja. Women Entrepreneur Award tahun 2007. National Women Entrepreneurs Award 2008. 2009 Ernst & Young Entrepreneur of the Year, Women Entrepreneur of the Year. Lepas tu Tribute to Women Malaysia Award on Education 2010. Kemudian ada lagi Tokoh Guru Pendidikan Swasta Nasional 2013 dan Outstanding Entrepreneurship Award 2013. Tuan-tuan dan puan-puan, seperti yang tuan-tuan dan puan-puan sedia maklum, hari ini dalam program tetamu saya ini, kita ingin berbicara dengan Datuk sebagai seorang edupreneur. Bila Datuk sebut kat saya perkataan tu kan, saya macam tergamam tau. Saya tak pernah dengar dalam hidup saya tak pernah dengar terma edupreneur. Datuk, apa khabar Datuk?
Oh, khabar baik. Terima kasih Datin Fauziah, panjang lebar berkenaan dengan sejarah saya. Bukan pasal ternama. Sebenarnya sebabnya tertua kan. Kita ni dah lama sangat dah ni. Saya sekolah CBN, actually all my life I've been in CBN. I went to TKC only for 1 year after Form 3, and I went to the girls boarding school, after reading all these wonderful girls stories about going to a boarding school. So I wanted to go to TKC. I went there for 1 year. I cried my way in and I cried my way out. But eventually, actually, I once upon a time started a girls' boarding school, as you know.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, going back to what you mentioned just now about edupreneur.
Ah.
Well, it is relatively new in the sense that in the 20s, people talk about edupreneur. People talk about entrepreneurship. What is entrepreneurship? It's actually people going to business, taking the risk. When you do business, you take risk.
Yeah.
You take risk for profit. You want to make money when you go into business. So when you put entrepreneurship, edupreneur, and entrepreneur plus education, so you become an edupreneur. So education plus entrepreneur. So that means you make education as your business. So you make education as part of your business. That means you take the risk, a business risk, but in the field of education, and of course for profit. But of course, a lot of people will talk about, education should not be for profit and so on and so forth. That is another thing that we can discuss that you might want to ask me,
Yeah.
I started this many, many years ago in 1983. As you know, I started my service in the government service. So I was working for 13 years in the government service. And then I have 5 sons. And I wanted to send the children to school, and my sons started to read early and so on and so forth. So I thought I could send them to school early. Then I discovered that you cannot send the children to school until they're about 7, 6 plus. By the time they finish standard 1, they should be 7 years old. And I thought, oh my goodness, this is too late. So I thought, why not I start my own school? And at that time, there was no such thing as, I never had the idea of being an edupreneur or a business person, doing business actually. I just wanted to educate my children. So I started a school, and a lot of my friends said, you must be crazy. Who wants to go to your school? Who wants to pay to go to your school when education is free?
Yeah.
But I did it. By accident, I became an edupreneur. I became an entrepreneur by accident, actually, because I did not start off to chase the money, actually, but to start off, actually, to chase the desire to give the best education to my children. That's how I started.
Okay. And that was when you founded the Cempaka Group.
Yes, that's when I started one school. And then as I go along, this has been 38 years, so it has become a group in the sense that we go into many fields of education, It's not just classroom education, we do virtual schools as well. We have a virtual school called On Campus. And then we also train teachers, and I do give lectures. And as you know, I'm also an adjunct professor at UTM at the moment now.
Okay.
And then I've just been made honorary professor at Sabyajaya University. So we want to do some collaboration and so on and so forth.
So kan, Datuk, a lot of people yang saya harap lah yang mendengar program kita ni adalah orang-orang muda. Would you, because dan saya, tetamu-tetamu saya terdiri daripada berbagai-bagai orang-orang ilmuwan dan akademia, people in the in the corporate sector dan sebagainya. So adakah Datuk, pengalaman Datuk lah sebagai seorang edupreneur, what are the qualities? Apakah dia kualiti-kualiti yang perlu ada kepada seorang entrepreneur, kita tahu, tapi ni edupreneur. So edupreneur, you must have the ilmu of education. Cuba Datuk tahan sikit.
Yeah, actually the most important thing, actually, if you think about being an entrepreneur, I'll look at the whole field of entrepreneurship. It's actually to be brave, to take the risk, So if you are in education, you have to take the risk. Now, what are the risks? The risks would be you have to look at your strengths and your weaknesses, right? Now, when I started it, I did not have any idea of running a school. You know that? I've never been a teacher. The only thing that I've if you could say a little bit about teaching or in the world of learning, is in Intan. When I was in Intan,
Yes.
kita train lah pengulu-pengulu, ADO, DO dan sebagainya on public management kan. So dekat Intan. But then after that, I was sent to UKM to do my MBA. So I had a different perspective of life, looking at economic development and so on, and business, finance, and so on and so forth. So that actually enriched my journey into learning. So I think if you talk about what do you need to have when you want to become a business person, in any field,
Yes.
for me in education, first of all, you must be berani. Mesti berani take the risk. Kalau katakanlah kita nak jadi landscape into business into landscape, katakan So you have to take the risk and you have to know what it is. So you got to do a lot of research. You yourself must have the passion, to go into it, But then passion alone is not enough because it can be very tough. I can tell you in education when I first started, there was no funding. Susah nak cari duit sebabnya there was no private school. So I was the first. I was a pioneer. So I pergi ke bank and the bank kata, we have no category for school. Dia tak ada kategori. Kalau you nak buka factory ke, nak buka kedai jahit ke, nak buka kedai rambut ke, there is, the category. Ni buka sekolah, mana ada private school,
Yes.
Dulu ada private school yang for dropout schools, long time ago kan. But my kind of school is different,
Yeah.
So dia kata tak ada. Dia kata, Frida, kalau you nak duit nak buka factory, I can give you. So I said, no, my factory is not the factory yang you think it is. I'm going to build a school. I want a school, It was very, very difficult. I had to knock on so many doors to get funding, And Alhamdulillah, I can tell you the story lah, because people must know, if you want to do this, jangan putus asa.
Yes.
Jangan never give up, just go and do it, I actually came to think of it, I went into it with everything. I was thrown into the deep end and I had to learn to swim, I had to learn to float, I had to learn everything from beginning, So when I got the first school, it was a small bungalow. And then I had to find out, to start a business, you got to go to DBKL to make sure the building is safe, the building has got all the hygiene requirements and so on and so forth. And then DBKL pun kata, apa ni nak buka sekolah ni? They also don't understand. I went to Ministry of Education. At that time, Tan Sri Murad, Tun Hamdan, they were then my seniors, they were in the ministry, you see. So they said, Frida, why do you want to open a school? I said, I want it for my children. So they actually didn't even have a department to look after private schools.
Yeah.
There is no thing like, oh, you need a license ke apa ke. So when I started, then only they thought, oh, now we must regulate this. And then even then after that, 10 years after that, ministry then had a division for private schools, before that tak ada. So when I started, I took Mr. Kambu to the building, you tengok ni, boleh tak buat macam ni, And then I went to DBKL, I drive tau, Datin. Pergi ke DBKL, ambil officer ni, jadilah, I was the dispatch boy, I was the, semua everything, I was the driver, bawa dia orang tengok ke rumah ni. Duit tak ada kan? Duit tak ada, it's very difficult, So, I had to clean the school myself, paint the school with my children, get my nephews to cut the grass, do everything. And I got the prison to make our tables and chairs for the school. Oh yes, because nak beli mahal kan?
Yeah.
So I thought, and it so happened that when I got married, my Cik Malik Nahu, Arwah. His wife was my cousin, So Arwah juga lah, the first one. So what happened was when I got married, so Cik Malik lah jaga semua buat wedding semua ni, and then we got the prison people to make my bunga telur. Can you imagine that?
Oh, okay.
So then I thought, oh, kalau dia orang boleh buat bunga telur, maybe they can also make tables and chairs for school. So I bought the kayu-kayu because we have no money. So I bought the kayu-kayu tu pun pergi kat Kelang tu, and then also maybe dia orang kesian, looking at me, I said, apalah, saya tak boleh nak beli kayu yang mahal, bagi kayu yang murah ataupun yang elok tak apalah. So they took pity on me, I think, so they sold the kayu cheaply. Then I had to sewa the lorry, take the kayu, bring it to Pudu prison. Yes, and then I draw the tables and chairs. I'm not an artist, so tell them how to do this and all that. That's how we did it, and it cost us 15 ringgit, 15 ringgit to make one table, and 15 ringgit to one chair. It was like, wow,
fantastic.
That's right. So we didn't have money to employ cleaners and all that, so I cleaned the school, I did everything. It was a learning experience. It was a wondrous journey, but I think looking back, I wouldn't do it any other way.
Yeah. In other words, besides knowledge, right, about education, one is guts. You have guts. You are brave, and you tak malu. Then you are, you explore all the various opportunities that are around you, and make use of that.
Yes, and also I think what really got me going was maybe when I was young, when I was a little girl, orang selalu main masak-masak kan, Datin? But I like to main sekolah-sekolah.
Okay.
Yeah, somehow, it is in me. I'll take my sisters, and my brother's friends. My brother will get very angry. He will say, my friends, they don't want to come to our house because you always take them to go to class. And then kalau pergi kelas tu, cikgu garang, mesti, that sort of thing, you see. So I think maybe it is in me, to really love the world of education. So when I started the school, so you must think about how do you keep it going.
Yes.
So I then look at the market, because now you must think, this is a business. Yes. You need to sustain it. You need to do it commercially, otherwise you cannot sustain it. Well, gulung tikar lah, because you've got to run it on a commercial basis. So how do I do this? How do I make people come to my school,
Yes.
Because education is free. People say, why should I go to your school? This is primary school. They don't even have an exam. So why, People send their children to tuition centers when they're in secondary school because of the exam.
Yes.
Right? So primary schools are apa lah nak hantar. So then I look at the market, and I was thinking at that time, it was very difficult to get help. So, very difficult. I'm sure you too, Datin, we will go to the kampung to go and look for help, right?
Yeah.
And then after that, bila Hari Raya, they go back, they tak balik, And then you got to go again and look for some more,
Yes.
So it was very difficult then. So I thought, why not I have a whole day school? So in the morning, you can drop your children in school, and then in the evening, your children will go home. By the time you're home, your children are also home. So therefore, then you meet when both of you finish schooling and finish work,
Yes.
So that was a very good idea, I thought, And then also there were people who said, oh, very far, your school is very far. And I said, don't worry, tomorrow I'll send the school transport. And you know what, that then, in the morning they will see me in front of the house, and then they will say, hey, I thought you're going to send the school transport. I said, I am the school transport. So I didn't even know that I needed a license then, to budak-budak, So I bawa van, bawa bus, bawa semua.
My God, you have taken photographs lah.
I know, but it was like, I did almost everything you can imagine. Running, but sports, running. But it was a wonderful experience. And I think because I went through that, I then developed a sense of strength, a sense of nothing is impossible,
Yes.
a sense of believing in myself. And this is what I teach my kids in school. I tell them nothing is impossible. Believe in yourself and stay true yourself. Never change the values that you have in you, that sort of thing. And I think I must say this, Datin. Your son is the embodiment of Cempaka. Yes. Yes.
Okay. Tuan-tuan dan puan-puan. Dengar baik-baik apa yang Datin sebut tadi. There is no end to ilmu. There is no end to, the sense of, I must do it.
Yes.
I must succeed. Alright?
Yes.
Dengar tadi, Datuk kata tadi, dia tak ada background langsung. In fact, dia jadi pioneer dalam education enterprise ini. Okay. Datuk, after listening to all that, apakah soalan saya yang ketiga ya, boleh tak Datuk ceritakan sikit cabaran-cabaran yang Datuk hadapi dalam bidang ini sejak melibatkan diri sehingga sekarang? Walaupun saya tahu Datuk dah berjaya mendapat macam-macam award dan sebagainya, tapi ceritakanlah, mungkin ada di antara pendengar-pendengar, orang-orang muda kita yang nak mengikut jejak langkah Datuk nanti, insya-Allah.
Yes, in fact, yang of course, the core problem will always be finance in any business at all. Funding is a problem, But to get funding, you must have a good product. You must have a good project, because otherwise you can't get funding. Because you got to convince the banks, you got to convince people who would trust you. So you must be somebody trustworthy. You must be somebody that they can see, when I went to the bank, Datin, at that time, the last bank yang bagi duit ni, I actually wanted 1.3 million at that time. Dulu now, sekolah, you want to build a school now is hundreds of millions. Yeah. You can't build a school for 1.3 million, Yeah. So when I built my first school for 1.3 million, I wanted 1.3 million now. Then I went to the bank. The bank kata, we cannot give you 1.3, but we can give you 1 million. So I kata, macam mana ni? 1 million kan macam kain singkat,
Yalah.
So in the end, I went to the developer around Damansara. He was developing the houses there, building the houses there. And then he wanted to keep his missionary and his people at that time recession. So dia kata, then I went to him. I said, Mr. Kwong, I really need this. I want to do this. Pujuk-pujuk dia lah. But I only got 1 million. I don't have enough, Your contract ni 1.3. Alhamdulillah lah, Datin. Dia kata, okay, I believe in you. Remember that. Remember the word. I believe in you. I believe that you can make it. I believe in what you want to do. I can see it in you. So this is what you have to be. You really got to have the passion. It's my life. This education is my life.
Yes.
So most probably he could see that in me. And then you know what happened? He said, tak apa, I will give you credit 300,000.
Wow.
Mana kontraktor nak bagi kita kan?
Exactly.
Very good man, So I said, okay. And then maybe also, the Chinese, they value education, I suppose, because he also said, I know you are going to do good, you're going to do well, because I know that you value education, that sort of thing,
I think the basic ingredient here is that you are a very convincing person, and you are able to do that because you know your stuff.
Yes, and I wanted it. I wanted this. You must have this desire,
Yeah.
You must have this desire. Do or die. You must get it, and you must do it.
Okay.
So I think that is the most important ingredient to become a successful anything, But even then, when you talk about success, it's not that, I have built a multi-billion-dollar kind of business or something like that, That I think is not the right definition of success. I think success is doing something that makes you happy.
Yeah.
That makes you happy. But if you make a lot of money out of it, bagus, alhamdulillah, syukur alhamdulillah, you can spread it around, as long as you don't bungkus, what do you call it, gulung tikar, that's fine. But as long as you find happiness, you find joy in doing what you're doing,
Yes.
I think that is success. that is success, you know.
Pernah ke dalam minda Datuk ya, when you were a student, that you will go into this field? Pernah tak terlintas?
Tak terlintas. Sebabnya when you know lah Datin, I don't know. I think now when I look at my students, I tell them, I need to teach them, not even teach, I need to share with them what life is about. Because I think when we were young, a long time ago, at that time, even my father did not even think of sending me to university, even going to university, I did it myself. In fact, the nuns in the convent, the nuns, actually, I had a few friends who went to Mara, because they couldn't get to go to university. So I pun nak ikut dia orang. So I went to the Reverend Mother. I said, I think I want to go and join Mara. The Reverend Mother kata, Frida, anybody will give an arm and a leg to go to university. Why do you want to go to Mara? That's what she told me. So I thought that was a good advice. So I actually pergi university on my own. And if you know about my school life, kan, in upper 6, I got very ill, I couldn't walk for 1 year.
Yeah,
so I did my exam in the hospital.
Yeah.
Can you imagine?
Yeah.
But what got me going was the Reverend Mother, kan, very good lah. She will get the teachers to send notes to me, and I'll be studying, and the I think the desire to make sure. I think young people should learn this, or I like to share this. I always tell myself, if there are 10 people to get anything, I want to be part of that 10. Even if I'm the number 10, not necessarily number 1, but kalau ada 10 orang, ada 10 tempat, I want to be in that 10, number 10 pun tak apa. That sort of thing. So I really work hard, and I managed to go to university, And in those days, Datin, long time ago, parents pun, the education they give you is actually so that you can get a good husband, kan? Tak payahlah belajar tinggi-tinggi, that sort of thing, Yeah, I mean those days, you see. But I was very lucky. I got into university. My father was very, very supportive, and my mother, and my mother was an ustazah actually. I mean, she taught mengaji and so on and so forth, and that sort of thing. And she's always in the world of education as well, learning and teaching, So I think I got that from them as well. My father was in the police, very disciplined. Kalau discipline is also another thing that you must have. Kalau tak ada disiplin, tak ada courage, tak ada hard work, tak boleh.
Ya. Dengar tu tuan-tuan dan puan-puan, terutama sekali orang-orang muda yang nak masuk dalam bidang, tak kira lah macam Datuk kata tadi, bidang perniagaan, entrepreneurship, Satu lagi, kena be very careful, must be very mindful of your expenditure. How you spend your money. It's very hard to get, but be very, apa orang kata, prudent.
Yes, and I think in education, when you talk about money, when you talk about your accounts, first of all, I think many people who go into business, they have no accounting experience or knowledge. You need not be an accountant, but you must know some basic on accounts, how you manage your funds. And that sort of thing, and I learned the hard way, in the sense that it was very difficult to get money, so I did a lot of things myself. So funding is one problem. Second is getting the right people in your organization.
Because it's a teamwork.
Yes, and I think people say, oh, we want to have a smart CEO, smart leader, I think the smart leader that you think here is not like you need an Einstein to be your leader. No, but you need a smart leader to be smart enough to recognize talent out there that you can bring into your organization. I think that is the most important trait of a leader.
So, bolehlah dikatakan bahawa Datuk mempunyai satu pasukan yang mantap di kalangan you punya staff juga, yang mempunyai kata orang vision dan mission yang sama, shared value.
Yes, bukannya senang actually,
Yes.
because you must have the shared vision and mission is one thing. But I always tell people who come to me, I do not look at your aptitude, your qualifications tu mesti ada lah. Kalau nak jadi maths teacher, you must be a maths graduate or whatever, right?
Yeah.
But the most important thing is sikap
Yes.
terhadap pekerjaan.
Yeah.
Whether you have the right attitude towards your work, whether you have pride in your work. Because Datin, a lot of people buat kerja acuh tak acuh, they have no pride in their work.
Betul.
I think this is the problem.
Satu kan Datuk, mudah jemu.
Yes.
Pindah-pindah, berpindah-pindah.
Yes. Diorang pindah-pindah sebabnya they have not developed the skills and the love for the job. If you don't develop that, you don't love your job because you don't know how to do your job.
Yeah.
So you need to develop the knowledge and the skills
Betul.
for your job,
Betul.
Then you can expand kan.
Macam Datuk sendiri tahu kan, macam saya hampir 40 tahun berkhidmat sebagai pegawai tadbir dan diplomatik.
Yes.
Hari terakhir saya sebelum saya retire tu, saya masih lagi excited.
Yes.
Masih lagi excited.
Yes.
Bila saya jumpa dengan KSN hari tu untuk kata goodbye, saya sangat excited. Itu bukan merupakan seorang yang nak pencen.
Yes. And then that selalunya orang yang pencen, yang tak tahu dunia dia luar daripada apa yang dia buat dulu. Dia buat dulu tu pun repeated the same thing, repeated don't know how many years, tak berkembang. They actually after retirement, they will age faster.
Yeah.
They will become so lesu, become so bored with things, and they don't flourish,
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot more that we can do after retirement.
Ya, betul.
Retirement should not be a word in our vocabulary.
Okey, setuju 100%. Okey, soalan saya yang keempat. Boleh tak Datuk bagi sikit pandangan tentang pendidikan in general untuk melahirkan generasi Malaysia yang berkaliber dan intellectually equipped to take on future challenges?
Okay. The most important thing, and I think this is lacking in our society, is reading.
Yes.
Reading and the thirst for knowledge. We must teach our children, our grandchildren, our children to embrace our own learning.
Yeah.
You see, I tell my kids in school, you don't come to school to study. You come to school to learn. To learn ABC? No. That is just the foundation of education. Once you already know your arithmetic and you know your ABCs, you must apply it to learn more beyond what is in your textbook. For instance, I make performing arts compulsory in my school.
Yeah.
And people say, why performing arts, And a few parents, when I first implemented it, when I first made it compulsory, a few left because they said, oh, we want science and maths, we want language, we don't want singing and dancing and theatre and that sort of thing, They didn't realize how important it is, how important performing arts will enrich your life,
Yeah.
So after a while, they came back actually, because you see, in performing arts, it's not just a question of performing, but you learn responsibility.
Yeah.
Because when you're doing even a dance, you have to be responsible to the other dancers that you're in the group, right? You have to be committed. Because if you don't come for rehearsals and then we put up a show, you'll be
Yes.
you will not make up the group properly again. So you have to learn accountability. You have to be accountable for your actions, whether you datang lambat ke, tak datang ke, tak ingat ke, and so on and so forth, And the most important thing you learn from performing arts is teamwork. You see?
Yes.
Now, if you don't know this, when you start your work out there after you graduate, you will not be somebody that the organization would value, because you don't know how to work with other people.
Yes.
You are not accountable, you're irresponsible, you're not committed, Yes. So that's why with performing arts, all these things you teach the children, and you cannot find this in the textbooks,
Yeah.
Yes, they have to go through it it's a learning process for them. And then it becomes part of nature for them, part of their DNA. So that's very, very important, you know. And there are a lot of other things that we do in school that makes up the person, you know. So I think when you embrace your own learning, you're engaged in your own learning, you're curious about what's around you, then you enrich your life, you see.
Yeah.
If you look at a lot of people, a lot of young people, a lot of graduates, they say they cannot find a job, they cannot do this, they're just waiting, you know. And there are people who come for interviews with me, you know, and I said, okay, what do you know of Cempaka? Sekolah. What is it?
Dia kata sekolah, dia kata bunga.
So they kata sekolah. I said, what is it that you know about this? You see, they never do research.
Yes.
They never do research.
Betul.
I asked them, what do you know about me? They don't know, you know.
Yeah.
So I said, how can you ask for a job here when you don't know what this organization is about?
Yeah.
And you don't know. Yeah, so how can you do that, you know? So I think young people, or all of us, must always be interested in what life has to offer for us and what we can offer to society and to life.
Yes.
And we must embrace our own learning and be responsible for our own growth. Must have a growth mindset and you know that sort of thing. So the key to all this is reading.
Okay, soalan terakhir. Boleh tak Datuk bagi sikit kata-kata inspirasi lah kepada generasi muda tentang perlunya kita punya sifat cinta ilmu untuk menjadi warga dunia?
So yang pentingnya ambil hal of all the things around you. Ya, ambil hal apa terjadi di luar sana. Baca, tanya orang. All the time have collaboration, you know. And now you are very, very lucky because you have the internet.
Yes.
And then you
Google.
Yes, and you cannot say, oh susahlah saya tak ada device itu, tak ada device ini, tak semua tak ada. Well, if you say semua tak ada, I always tell people don't have these words in your vocabulary. Tak boleh, tak mau, susah. If you have that, then you might as well don't live. You might as well say, oh, you give up, you know. But then why? God has put us on earth with the brain to work on, you know. That's very important, Niti. You see? So I think young people must be interested with what's happening around them.
Yeah.
You know, and then think about what they can do to contribute to society in any way. So if you think that your work contributes to society, then do your work well. Do it well. Learn to love your work because not everybody have the opportunity to do what they love. You see, I am very lucky. I'm very lucky. I love what I do and I have the opportunity to do something that I love. But many people don't have this. You actually get a job because you want to earn something, kan? Yeah. But then you get a job, it doesn't matter. Learn to love that job. Learn to love. And how to learn to love that job? Read around your job. Think of how much you can contribute to the organization to make it better. You know, so if you are in a fast food industry, look at other fast food companies, how they do, what are their mistakes, what are their strengths, and then look at your organization, how you can make it better, how to solve problems. Now, a lot of people don't know how to solve problems because they do not understand how to identify the problem. So kalau dia tak tahu nak identify problem, macam mana nak solve problem? Because to them, there's no problem, you know. But actually, if you look around in anything that you do, there must be some problems. So you have to look for the solution, but before that, identify what are the problems.
Right. Okay. Terima kasih sangat-sangat atas satu sesi yang membuka minda kita semua tentang edupreneurship dan juga apakah dia quality yang perlu ada pada diri kita, and above all that, the most important is ilmu. Right? And passion. and guts.
Yes.
We must be very brave
Yes.
and adventurous,
Yes. Yes.
inquisitive.
And
Oh.
never give up. Never give up.
Never give up.
Nothing is impossible.
Nothing is impossible.
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much Datuk Frida. Bagi pihak Persatuan Siswaza Wanita Malaysia, saya ingin mengucapkan ribuan terima kasih di atas sharing yang pada petang ini, dan saya berharap pendengar-pendengar dan juga sesiapa saja yang menonton program ini mendapat banyak tips lah untuk berjaya dalam berbagai-bagai bidang, bukan saja sebagai edupreneur tetapi juga dalam bisnes dan juga dalam apa jua profession yang kita pilih. Okey, itulah saja pada hari ini sembang-sembang Persatuan Siswaza Wanita Malaysia dengan tema menyusuri ilmu. Wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh. Bye bye Datuk.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I love you.
I love you.
Bye.
Bye.